own mind is your most complicated and valuable project. Knowledge will usher mankind into the light.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. So in this episode, we're going to talk about PRITZKER. And a long time ago, I made a video about him. He is still, until now, a borderline legendary esper. I still don't understand why is this guy is here. Because like even until now, even after 2 years of Dislyte, there is not a single controller that is more reliable than PRITZKER in terms of stopping the enemy for eternity. Like this guy can just permanently stun the entire enemy team forever. So let's take a look at his skills. So first skill, attacks one enemy, damage 110% attack. A little bit low by 10% for an S1 damage, but he is a controller, so that is okay. 80% chance of stealing 30% of the enemy's AP. That is huge because normally on average when you are reducing the enemy's AP or stealing enemy's AP, it's usually at 20%, not 30%. So this is already high. Inflict stun on debuffed enemies for 1 turn. So as long as the enemy is debuffed, you can have 100% chance to stun them, reduced by the enemy resist. So this is a very reliable S1 stun because as long as the enemy is debuffed, like it is quite easy, like very easy to have an enemy debuffed, especially if you have esper lineup like mine. Like I love debuffs a lot, so that's why like even PRITZKER himself, he can easily inflict debuff on the enemies using his third skill. So the requirement for this, like usually for a skill, if you have a requirement, then the skill will be above average. But the requirement is very easy to fulfill in this one. And for the chance here, because it is above 75%, the 30% AP stealing is also very reliable. Like this is going to increase PRITZKER's speed to keep him rotating his skill very fast. And then the passive is what makes PRITZKER the best. Because if a target is incapacitated, like whether it is stunned, frozen, or petrified, or sleep, although sleep is very hard, like because the moment the enemy get hit, the sleep will be gone. So unless you have Resonance 6 Hilda, this is not gonna happen on a sleep enemy. Inflicting a debuff will extend all their ability cooldowns by +1 turn. And this only applies to PRITZKER, too bad. Like it's gonna be so OP if like any other esper can just inflict a debuff on the enemy while you have PRITZKER, and then it will extend their ability. Yeah, that is totally broken. But this is what makes PRITZKER the best, because combining this with his third skill, it's going to be insanely very strong, like almost OP in a sense. Attacks all enemies 3 times, total damage 110% attack. So as an AoE, this has 10% higher attack than an average AoE damage. Each hit has a 60% chance of inflicting stun for 1 turn. On paper, 60% chance is supposed to be a little bit lower because you want to have a reliable, at the minimum 75% chance of inflicting something. But each hit, that's the key word in here. So every single hit of these 3 hits will have a 60% chance of stunning the enemy. And that makes what makes this skill very reliable. Because you have 3 chances to stun your enemy. And you don't need to stun the enemy all 3 of the times, because stun will just get refreshed, like it's not gonna stack. So the only thing that stacks is that if on the first hit you stun the enemy, and then on the second and the third hit you also stun the enemy, his passive will trigger, because you are inflicting a debuff on top of his own stun. So because even though the stun is refreshing each other, like you inflict another debuff while the enemy is stunned. Like you inflict another stun while the enemy is stunned. So that's why you can extend all of their ability cooldowns by the maximum of 2 turns. Because the first hit will be the main stun, and then the second and the third hit, if you manage to stun again, that will increase the enemy's ability cooldown. So on top of stunning the enemy and stopping them from moving, if in any case they manage to get out of those stun by using like Jinyuya or using Resonance Sally, etc., etc., there are a lot of ways, they still cannot do anything because their skills will be on cooldown. And that is the hardest part to get out from, because there are not many Esper that can, reduce your cooldown, and you also usually don't expect to get your cooldown reduced at the beginning of the battle, because PRITZKER is also a very fast Esper. So you can expect him to be the first one. Not always the first, like if you use Rival Rune, obviously he's not the first to move, but you can always just give him maximum speed and you will stun the entire enemy team before they can even do anything. And on top of that, you have 60% chance of inflicting speed down for 2 turns. And this one is per hit. So that's why, even though the chance is a little bit low, you have 3 chances of inflicting both stun and speed down on your enemies. And the best part about this is that the cooldown is only 3 turns. So you can just very easily permanently stun the entire enemy team. Because before they can even get out of stun, you can use your first skill to get a lot of bonus AP, and then after that you will be able to stun the enemy again if they are slow enough before they can even get out of their stun. How insanely good is that? And if you want to make sure that your enemy will never get out of the stun, then you can just bring any other stunner aside from PRITZKER. Or you can just bring someone like Tricky who can extend the enemy's incapacitating debuff by 1 turn, and that will guarantee that the enemy will never get out of their stun. And like I said again, even if they can manage to get out of their stun, their skill will be on cooldown. And if you are fast enough, you can just keep increasing the enemy's cooldown every time you permanently stun them. So they can no longer be able to do anything, even if they manage to get out of that stun. Because all of their skills will be on their maximum cooldown. The only thing that is missing from PRITZKER is the ability to get through immunity. That's the only weakness of PRITZKER. But if you are fast enough and the enemy doesn't use the like of a Kui, then you will be able to just stun anyone, because they won't be able to have the time to apply immunity to their friends before PRITZKER manages to stun them. And that's why this is like, even until now, I still use PRITZKER everywhere I go if I require someone to stun my enemy. And a lot of the time, if there are only one single enemy left, you do want to just keep on spamming your first skill. Like you just use your third skill once and inflict the speed down on your target, and then just spam your first skill, because you no longer need to deal AoE stun on your enemy because there are only one enemy. So this one, the stun on this first skill is more reliable, because this is 100% chance of inflicting. But on top of that, you can just keep on stealing the enemy's AP, and the enemy will never ever be able to move. Long time ago, when Hyde was still popular as a PvP Esper, I killed Hyde using PRITZKER, because he can never move. Even though I cannot stun him, like, I can just keep stealing his AP and preventing Hyde from moving at all, as long as the Hyde doesn't use Avatara. So I kill Hyde in like PvE content, like in Infinite Tower, Temporal Tower, using PRITZKER before I was reaching the end game because of how reliable he is in preventing someone like Hyde from moving at all. I just spam this first skill and keep stealing your enemy's AP. And then now, because of the recent changes, like we now have a content called Triple Threat, and PRITZKER's capability changed from being able to increase the speed of allies in the 3 versus 3 PvP. Now he is able to increase the speed in Triple Threat, which is the new content in our club PvP right now. And the 25% speed increase is the same as any other speed captain like Kie, Yuhime, Tolan, etc. etc. So in Triple Threat, you can use PRITZKER as your captain now, which is very good because PRITZKER himself is a very strong expert to use. Now going to the advancement, because he doesn't need any stats, he only needs speed. That's it. And so you can just stop his advancement at level 50. You don't need him at level 60 at all. But if you already at endgame and you don't have anywhere else to throw your experiment, then yeah, if you're still using PRITZKER every day, then just increase his level to 60. Like it doesn't hurt to deal a little bit more damage. Then on the resonance here, the second resonance, its surviving enemy grants accuracy plus 5%. That will increase his chance to inflict debuff. Oh yeah, aside from the speed, he also needs accuracy to 80%, obviously, And you can just, get the soft cap of the 80% there or 60% if you are relying on his second resonance here. Like if you have 5 enemies, then you don't need that much accuracy, but you most likely still want to give him 80% accuracy because if the enemy is only if there is only one enemy left, then you don't want your chance to inflict debuff be reduced. Now going to his fourth resonance, when the target is not buffed, miss rate minus 25%. This is what makes PRITZKER very reliable. Because usually any other Esper will have trouble inflicting debuff to the elements that they are weak against. But for PRITZKER, even if he loses against the flow element, like any other Esper will miss their debuff, PRITZKER have a reduced miss rate chance against those flow Espers. So PRITZKER can just almost reliably stun any elemental Esper out there. Just imagine him being a Simmer Esper. Now going to his sixth resonance, this is what gives him the speed down effect on his third skill. So you obviously do want to reach this sixth resonance because the speed down will make sure that PRITZKER will be able to move 3 times before the enemy even manages to get out of their stun. Now, his Ascension is also very good because his Ascension gives him HP and defense, survivability that he definitely needed because he don't need to deal damage. If you can just permanently stop the enemy from moving, even if you deal 1 damage, you will eventually kill them. And the third Ascension here is the one that inflicts stun on debuff enemies. So you definitely do want to get this third Ascension. And then his fourth Ascension gives him more HP, survivability. And then there's a critical rate, even though we don't really need this. But this increases his damage chance to 1.5 times, which is your default critical damage here. Yeah, it's just an extra damage there. But what is very important is the 6th Ascension here, because this gives him 20% accuracy. So you can just give your stats more to your speed here, so you can have more speed on him. Now, for the Rival Rune, the Dislyte developer gives you like recommend you to use the Win and the Avatara, which is very good advice. Like the Win one makes sure that PRITZKER moves like be the very first expert to move, like one of the very first expert to move. And then the Avatara is also very strong because his first skill is very strong in stealing AP and also inflicting stun. So if in any case someone hits PRITZKER and he triggers his Avatara, he will stun that enemy if they have debuff, So that is really good, but there is also one relic that you can use, which is what I'm currently showing you right now, which is what I'm using, which is the Tyranny. Like the Tyranny, even though you can stun yourself, Tyranny will still trigger. Like for example, you are going to attack your enemy 3 times, but you actually have 6 chances to stun your enemy because of Tyranny. And that is really good, because this one, look at it. This one damage dealt has a 20% chance of stunning the target for 1 turn. So this means that if you deal multiple hits, this will also trigger multiple times, and hence why the Tyranny set is very strong on a multi-hitter Espers, and you can actually just give this to any other Esper, but for PRITZKER, you now have 6 chances to stun your enemies. The 3 being 60% chance, and the other 3 having only 20% chance of stunning your target. So it will guarantee you to stun all of your targets on using your 3rd skill. And because PRITZKER also have a reduced miss rate, like it also affects the miss rate chance of your Tyranny to elemental that you are weak against. But the only downside to Tyranny is that it doesn't trigger the passive. So if the enemy gets stunned by your Tyranny, it will not extend all of their ability cooldowns by 1 turn. So you can already see, like if the enemy gets stunned and then their skill, you see the debuff saying that your enemy get multiple stun. Like when you attack your enemy, there is that floating number that shows you what kind of debuffs that they receive, and you see a multiple stun going out, but you see that their skills are still not on cooldown. That means that the stun comes from the Tyranny set. So that is Tyranny, how Tyranny works on PRITZKER. Although it's kind of like pros and cons, but if you do want to have a more reliable stun, then just use this. Otherwise, just use your fastest rally, and that is already good enough for PRITZKER. Like he only needs speed above 200 and then accuracy at 80%. That's it. And then his definite is not that important because when the target is debuffed, Secrets of Veda's final damage plus 15%. And Secrets of Veda is the first skill. And because PRITZKER is not a damage dealer, this is the problem with a lot of the Epic Espers definite. So, a lot of Epic Espers definite only increase their damage, and that is not really what you want, because most of the time those Espers are support Espers. And so the only thing that you get from the Divinate is just the basic defense and a basic HP increase that will increase his survivability while he tries to permanently stun the entire enemy team. Just in case if you miss someone and that someone take revenge on your PRITZKER will not die that easily. So that's it for this video, guys. So thanks for watching. Hope you learned something from this, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.